Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Talkin Tuong, the weekly show where I get to connect with my friends near and far, all over the world, all over the galaxy, all over the universe, to talk about the things that are important of the world. We're talking about pop culture news, movies, all that good stuff that's very, very important in these trying times. Who I have, a very special guest. We've only just started talking like a month or two ago, and I already feel like our friendship has blossomed into a giant, what would you say, special guest? What do you think our friendship has blossomed into?
I think our friendship is like a blooming onion.
Thank you.
Many slices were made into it early on, and we've recently been thrown into a deep fryer and just given that
Oh
golden,
my God.
delicious explosion, you know?
I'm talking about barbecue master Tom Zalatnai. Hello.
Hey, that's generous.
Well, you call yourself a barbecue master, so I think that's okay.
I would never say master. I would say aficionado, lover.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And thank you for helping me find the words this morning. We are recording at an ungodly time on the weekend.
It's 2 a.m.
It's 2 a.m. Yeah, it's not that ungodly. I actually wake up this time for work anyways. I just never actually wake up truly until much later in the day. Like my mind's not alert yet. But
well, it's that thing where you're like, I can be awake at 9 a.m. I can't talk to humans until like noon.
Yeah, I can barely do that in the first place, but here we are. Tom, thank you so much for being on the podcast this early morning here. Now, Tom, some people don't know who you are.
What?
They haven't listened to the barbecue episode of Ranked. So can you tell us who you are and what you've been doing during the pandemic to keep yourself happy?
Sure, yeah. I am Tom Zalatnai. I use they, them pronouns. I am a podcast host and producer based out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. What do? I host a show called Up for Discussion that by the time you listen to this will have just gone into a soft rebrand where all we ever talk about anymore is food, which is super exciting. And spoilers, Tung's going to be a guest on an upcoming episode of that.
I hope I'm more awake. We're recording this, like that episode right after this episode.
Honestly, I think it'll be fine. No matter how awake we are, we could just sleep through the whole thing and it's content, you know? I also host a show called Natural Tuney, which is a Dungeons and Dragons podcast set in an alternate reality Newfoundland where a massive multiplanar event cut it off from the rest of the world and now weird shit happens. I am a player in one campaign on that and the DM of the other campaign, and Tung also joined us for an episode of that, which I think will probably not be out until like November. But go subscribe if you like Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah.
So, Tom, you love podcasting, but what other things have been keeping yourself happy? Of course, you love food too, but let's break out of the mold here. Other things that you like. You're the food person. You're the podcast person. What else makes you tick?
Ooh, what makes me tick, Daddy? I
Wait, did you just call me Daddy?
Maybe. Geez. Well, I'm a parent, so I guess I spend a lot of time watching Daniel Tiger these days.
What's that?
Daniel Tiger is a children's cartoon by the people who made like Mr. Rogers. Like I think Mr. Rogers is like or was the executive producer. I don't know. It's nice. It's the music.
It's based off
really
his
good.
like puppet guy that he always brought. That Daniel?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So this is like a cartoon set in like Daniel Tiger's neighborhood. That's like, you know, the land of make believe or whatever from the Mr. Rogers show.
Right.
I don't feel like I'm doing it justice, but if you have a Netflix account, at least in Canada, you can get 4 episodes of it on the kids side. And honestly, even if you don't have kids, I would recommend going and checking it out because it's pretty decent. And like,
really,
like I have to watch a lot of like crappy kids TV. Like Paw Patrol is on, I think, in the other room as we speak.
Oh Lord.
And Daniel Tiger slaps. Like the music is very, very good.
As a parent, as a unique perspective as a parent, what is the worst children's TV show that you've watched?
Oh, Jesus.
You're forced to watch on like a daily basis or whatever.
So my answer is twofold. There's the one that I like hate the most, and there's the one that I think is actually the worst. The one I hate the most is a show called Hatchimals, which like I think Hatchimals are like another like toy kids get at the pharmacy or whatever for like $1. They're like an egg and they hatch, and there's a I don't know, a stuffed animal inside or something.
What?
But there's
okay.
I don't know. We've never bought one, but there's a Netflix show of Hatchimals that is literally 3-minute episodes, but there's like 50 of them.
Oh my God.
And I don't know, like maybe this is just something that airs between like actual shows on like Nickelodeon or whatever. But if the kid wants to watch that, we put it on, and then it's like, how Netflix does that thing after 5 episodes where it's like, are you watching?
Oh, right.
That's a hell of a lot more annoying when the episodes are 3 minutes long.
Oh my God. That's oof.
So I hate that. I hate Hatchimals. I will also say though that I think that Paw Patrol is like toxic in a way that Hatchimals
I've heard this
not.
before. Yeah. Why do you think it's toxic?
Well, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say right out the gate, and like, this is something you can hold me to. I think that all cops are bastards, and I think that extends to Chase from the Paw Patrol.
And wait, is he a cop though?
I mean,
or the dog's the only one qualified?
And Chase is one of the dogs.
Oh,
he's the
okay.
cop dog. Yeah.
Who's the human guy?
I hate that I know this, but his name is Ryder.
Oh, yes. Okay, sure. So Chase is the cop dog, but he's also a bad dog.
Well, so like here's my problem with it, right? First off, horribly irresponsible that like, the town of Adventure Bay, their only like workforce is a 10-year-old and his pets. Like the mayor is too busy chasing her pet chicken around to do any actual work, so she hires a 10-year-old to like just run everything, which is just a horrible fucking plan. But 2, Chase is the cop dog, and actually as far as cops go, he does a pretty good job of just serving and protecting. But that creates a really unrealistic expectation in children of what police actually are in the real world, which, as previously stated, is bastards. And so, like, kids watch Paw Patrol and they, like, see Chase being helpful and, like, fixing bridges and shit. And they're like, oh, Chase is the best. Chase is so wonderful and, like, helpful and good. I want to be a police officer when I grow up. And then you have to break the news to your kids that actually, if you do that, you're going to be playing into a really fascist regime. And, like, you're going to be a shitty person. So maybe be anything else instead. Be a firefighter, The same type of people become firefighters that become cops, except that the firefighters are the ones who are like decent people. Right.
I'm putting an optimistic light onto this. I wonder if someone watches Paw Patrol, joins the force later in life, and they're like, hey, cops are not supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be more like Paw Patrol. And they're the ones who rise up and change the whole police system. That's what I'm hoping.
That would be nice. I think we'll start seeing that in like 5-6 years. I don't know how long Paw Patrol has been on, but not
too long.
Not long enough, I guess.
Yeah.
Not long enough to affect real change.
Yeah, and now I'm just thinking like my argument falls apart really quickly, because if the person's like, I need to change the world like Paw Patrol does, then they would be giving jobs to dogs and stuff like that in really inappropriate situations. Wouldn't be good. No. Thanks, Tom. But Tom,
pleasure.
we have a mission right now, a mission to go through the very, very important news of the week, pop culture news. All right, let's just get through it. There's a bunch of headlines that I have that I pulled from IGN, and we'll just knock them out and see how you feel about them.
All right.
My first one I have is Robert Pattinson. He got COVID.
I saw that. I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying they would happily suck the COVID out of Robert Pattinson's neck.
I would too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
What a precious human being. That sucks because Batman just got back into production, and like within days they're like, nope, shut it all down. Pattinson's got COVID. I'm like, wow, that sucks.
Yeah, it can't possibly be any correlation there.
Yeah. I wonder if they could have just. No, I guess if other crew members got it too, then might as well shut the whole thing down. I was like, why don't you just shoot the other scenes while Pattinson's down? But I guess that's pretty irresponsible.
You could just rewrite the script and make it that Batman has COVID the whole time. Come on, be a method actor.
That's right. My next story for you is The New Mutants is finally out. That X-Men film. Have you heard much about it?
I've seen trailers for it pop up in my social media feeds because I think they think that I'm someone who goes to the movie theater. Uh, I mean, I guess it makes sense. I am someone who like really likes comic book movies in theory. I haven't seen like a single like Marvel movie except for Black Panther. Like I think what did I see? I saw Captain America, the first one, in theaters when it came out like 10 years
Right.
ago, and then I saw nothing for like a
Wait,
decade, and then I
you're
saw
a
Black Panther on Netflix like last year.
Jesus, you're a comic book fan and you haven't seen any of the Marvel films?
I'm like a comic book fan at heart. My problem is I don't go to movie theaters because I think they're a waste of money, and because I'm like I've always had kind of digestive issues. If people want to get real personal with me,
Oh, okay.
and so like the idea of having to sit still for like 3.5 hours to watch, one of the attractive Chris's do his thing on the TV, like I'd rather just do that at home. But then
But Tom, you can do that at home now. You have the ability to do all of that at home.
yeah, but then what happens is like I don't like movies enough to like sit down and watch a whole movie. I'd rather watch like 7 seasons of The Flash in the same time it would take to watch like two Marvel movies, you know?
Oh my God. I can't believe I have you on the movie podcast.
Hey, I mean, no spoilers, but we're talking I guess there are no spoilers. People read the title of this episode.
Maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't.
Maybe
Let's
they
just
didn't.
keep it
Yeah,
keep it
maybe they
hidden
just
for
like
now.
auto-played in their feeds. We're talking about a classic later from a time when I did have the like,
The movie bug.
I was going to say the like intestinal fortitude to sit through a movie.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, New Mutants is out, but
It
the
looks good.
co-creator, I don't even know if it looks good. I would say it looks bad, but the co-creator slammed the movie for whitewashing, and they misspelled his name.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
What?
they misspelled his name in the credits. The co-creator of the New Mutants in the comics, and he's just like, "Well, this sucks."
That's wild.
Right? I
Okay,
can't believe that.
so maybe I'll take it back. Maybe it doesn't look good. Mostly, the X-Men have a really like soft spot in my heart. So I like hope every time they release a new X-Men movie, I like hope that it'll be good. You know?
Yeah, totally. Let's see. You talk about Black Panther. I think that's what dominated the news of all of last week, and especially this week too. Chadwick Boseman unfortunately passing away to colon cancer at the age of 43. We talked about it in the last episode, but lots of tributes are coming out, and Disney Plus just released like a 40-minute tribute to the king himself.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I think that's really nice, and I hope people continue to honor his memory and all the other roles that he's provided, and also stop putting your casting decisions out for Black Panther right now. It's not the time.
Yep. Not the time. I
Not the time.
Was it you who tweeted something? Someone that I follow
It
tweeted something
probably
to the
me.
effect of like, "How about instead of recasting his character, we just have." Oh man, I'm so bad at names. I saw the movie like a year and a half ago. One of the like, there's like a badass female lead in that movie as
Oh
well.
yeah, it's like his sister and stuff. I didn't tweet that. I just
Okay.
said, if you're recasting thinking right now, just shut the fuck up. That's
Yeah,
what I said.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. All I was going to
Yeah.
say is if they want to make another sequel, they can like you can kill off a character and have their badass sister become the one who like
Oh yeah. Oh
becomes
yes.
king or queen or ruler of whatever.
Like if we're getting real, like she has like precedent. She has been Black Panther in the comics before, but it's
Right.
also like, I mean,
Is it
it's a quick
Shuri? Is
Google.
her name Shuri?
Yeah,
There we
Shuri.
go.
Yeah, you can do a quick Google search and know that for a fact, but you don't have to say it. Everyone kind of knows like
Right.
that might be the direction. It's just like it's just not the time.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
talk about it later.
I do think like I something about knowing that he like was going through this while working on all of these movies like makes me want to go back and watch everything that he has done in the past like 4 or 5 years and just kind of take it in because I feel like there is like I don't like this thing that people do where they romanticize like creating through like pain and sorrow and tragedy.
Right.
But I do think there's some truth to it.
Right.
It's one of those things.
I think there's two ends of it, and that's like you romanticize people who fight through the dirty to get the work done, which is very like I don't know, courageous and honorable, but it's not supposed to be a lesson where everybody should do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you shouldn't be like, oh, now I have to go do that. I don't think that's the point of it. And I think that's where people are getting the wrong vibe from that kind of thing.
Right.
But I think it's good to like look at that and be like, hey, look, this person did it. And that's pretty great. The impact that he did through that.
Yeah.
But it's not a lesson for everybody to go do that.
No, that's exactly it. It's like, I don't want to encourage like pushing yourself to your absolute limits. But
yeah,
I definitely want to go back and watch everything that he did now, and like just knowing that, you know, and see that legacy kind of cement itself further, if that makes sense. And like,
totally.
I think so, you know, full disclosure for listeners who don't know this about me, but I am a white person. But like,
what? Get out.
But like, you know, my friends who are POC have like expressed so many like things that like, and you know, these are things they've been expressing since the movie first came out, or possibly even since the like poster for the movie came out, that like it is so powerful and impactful for people of color to see like this badass black lead in a Marvel movie. And like that alone, like knowing that he was able to have that impact in his career, like short as it was, like he's going to be one of those actors who like for generations we look back at and say like, this guy changed things. And I think that's really cool. And like, you know, rest in power to him, because that is, you know, that's a really good legacy.
100%. And this is a good segue into another person who's POC that I feel like has the capability of leaving a great legacy as well. And that's John Boyega. And lately, he's been just fucking going off. Over the last couple months, he's been going off, you know, just really just shutting down toxic Star Wars fans and being like, hey, fuck you. I'm not in these movies anymore. Like, I already got my money. Like, why are you judging me? I'm trying to cash in a paycheck. And like, I'm not the one who wrote these movies, all these other things. But also just being like, hey, shut up. I'm out of this. Like, you don't have to tell me your feelings about Star Wars anymore. He's like so over that. But I think like the thing that like I think that makes him, you know, unique and special is that he has the gall to basically go up against Disney.
Right.
And he's been like criticizing them hard. Like in a latest GQ article, I believe it was, he was criticizing Disney for sidelining his character to be like, hey, why did you like hype up my character, like, you know, being one of the first black leads ever in a Star Wars film, like a major franchise, and you know, he's holding a lightsaber, it looks like he might be a Jedi one day, all this stuff, to basically, as the movies go on, be like, hey, you're kind of to the side now, it's not about you.
Right.
And he went off on Disney, and it was really interesting to see, because a lot of people, especially he's not old, he's pretty young.
He's like
I think
28.
he's like 28, yeah. And I mean, at the same time, he got paid a lot of money regardless, so he's kind of set in a lot of ways, but he's still putting his career on the line, right? He could have just done this and that's it. But it sounds like he's kind of championing like the smaller voice and being like, hey, just because I did these movies doesn't mean I like stand behind them 100%. And I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it speaks to an integrity to be able to say like, look, yes, I like did this job and took this paycheck, but let me be very clear about like where I stand with it, in a way that like, you know, you're like, what you said is right. Like it does probably jeopardize his like likelihood of getting, you know, hired by some people. Like, I don't think that it will tank his entire career, but I do think he, like, you know, speaking out against, like, say, J.J. Abrams or whoever it was who did the most recent. Look,
yeah,
like I said, I don't go to the movies. I saw the first Star Wars, and I haven't seen the other two. But, like, you know, speaking out against whoever is in charge of Star Wars now, George Lucas, who cares? Like, he probably won't get to work with them anymore. Like, just a hunch. But, like, that doesn't matter, because there are better people he can work with than people who are going to, you know, sideline their characters of color.
Definitely. And, you know, when he first started going off on about this months ago, like directors like Jordan Peele and Ryan Coogler like were right with him, and those are huge directors right now, right? So it's like he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Also, like, come on, people. Like Star Wars, people complain about, like, even in the first trilogy, people had things to say about it. Like, it's just Star Wars is just a thing you complain about.
Yeah.
I like Star Wars, but it's a thing you complain about endlessly.
Oh,
it's very tiring. Yeah.
The only perfect piece of Star Wars media that has ever been released is Battlefront 2. And I'm just going to put that out there.
There you go. And I would argue Rogue One, too. I love that movie.
Fair enough.
But yeah. Let's move on. How about, do you like video games, Tom?
I do. Sorry, I just took a sip of my coffee there.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, get that all into the podcast. I don't edit these things, so all of our coughs and gulps are in here full force.
I was hoping they would be. Are you about to transition into talking about Mario's 35th anniversary?
You know what? I was going to save that till later, but let's talk about it now.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Tom, I'm going to set this up for you because I'm not sure how close to Nintendo you follow things.
I follow pretty closely. I have been a Nintendo kid my entire life.
Oh, this is why we get along then. Okay. So essentially, Nintendo Twitter is one of the worst places ever, I think. And mostly because the comment sections on anything Nintendo posts over the last year is like, where's my games? Or when are you putting out like an announcement for more games? And it's been like that forever. And it's very tiring.
Yeah.
And then they would release like, partner showcases, which I always felt bad about. Partner showcases are like a collection of games that are coming out not made by Nintendo.
Right.
And as soon as those get put out, somebody says, but where's my Mario? Where's my Metroid? And it's like, shut up. Let them say their thing. And finally, Nintendo did drop something. Of course, there's haters out there, but we're going to disregard them.
Yeah.
This was a big day.
Yeah.
This is a big day.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. How about I let you, Tom, if you remember what they announced, go for it.
Yeah. So they finally announced that Mario is canonically queer.
With his brother.
It's a moment that we've all been waiting for years. Brother, it's like the Ernie and Bert thing. They just translated Mario and Luigi as brothers, but in the original concept for the game, they're lovers.
Same with Wario and Waluigi too, but they watch from the bushes.
I was going to say Wario and Waluigi. I would actually be much like faster to believe if they retconned them as a queer couple. Anyway, so Nintendo announced this week that so they announced a bunch of things. It is Mario's 35th anniversary. I don't know if it's this year or next year. I'm a little unclear on that.
It's actually this year. It is this year.
Okay. Yeah. And they're releasing a very cool game for like the Switch Online, which like for your listeners, if you're not a person who owns a Nintendo Switch, basically you can get an online membership and they'll throw you the occasional free game as part of that. One big one was Tetris 99, which is the like Tetris battle royale game where basically 99 people play Tetris at the same time and you like send blocks to a different target or whatever and you try to be number one. I've done it a couple of times, not gonna brag, but I have.
You won a couple times? Really?
Yeah, a couple of times. I think I've played like maybe 200 matches and I won like 2 or 3 times.
No, that's still amazing. I also was a little bit deep into that game but never won. My partner was always really deep into this game, but she's also never won. The other thing is like she only plays it as Tetris, but she doesn't pay attention to the other like small other mechanics that are in the game.
Right,
so I think you need that to win.
Oh yeah, no. I only won like the handful of times I won. I had to be in a like deep trance state, just like extremely focused on the game and paying a lot of attention to who I was targeting at any given moment.
Right,
which wasn't fun. Like it's
but
more
you won.
fun. Yeah, it's more fun to play it like semi-seriously than to try and like really like dig in. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Tetris. We're here to talk about Mario. They're releasing a Mario battle thing, Mario Battle Arena as well, where you basically play like old school like side scrolling Mario, but it's competitive against 99 people at the same time or whatever. And
35.
Oh,
35 people.
Sense. There we go. I watched the Nintendo Direct announcement with the sound off, so I just kind of gleaned details.
It's called Super Mario 35.
There we go.
That's what. Yeah.
But yeah, and then they also announced, this is the thing I'm more excited about. They announced Super Mario 3D All-Stars.
Yes.
which is a Switch remaster of Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy. Um, all three of which are games that I like put hundreds of hours into back in the day,
Yeah.
and I'm so excited, and I cannot even like express how stoked I am for this, and I
I
wish it
know.
was already out.
Fuck. I really hope, because they've been talking about, or they like, it's been rumored that this would happen for a very long time. I'm like, please let it happen. It's here. I really hope, because it's not a full remaster. It looks like it's an HD kind of like, I don't know, one of those HD collections where they just upres things and put it out, which is fine as
Yeah.
long as things run perfectly and like no frame drops or anything. I'll be happy with that. I'm curious if like Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube came up with like a couple bugs and stuff, and back then you couldn't patch any problems. I wonder if they kept those intact or if they like
Right.
ironed those out.
That would be,
And then,
yeah, it
yeah,
would
go
be
ahead.
nice if they ironed them out. It would be interesting if they didn't, now that they've made it way more possible to take screenshots of what's going on in their games.
Yeah, right. And I'm curious because I was reading on Super Mario Galaxy, which is also one of my favorite games of any of the 3D Mario platforms. But, you know, in the Super Mario Galaxy, you used to play with the Wii and you had to shake the Wii remote to spin,
Right.
essentially. And in this game, apparently they keep some of that intact too, but on handheld mode, apparently it's different.
Hmm.
And this would affect people with Nintendo Switch Lites, which don't
Right.
have motion controls in it. And apparently, to spin, you have to touch the touch screen. And I'm like, that seems weird. Like you have
Oh.
to like move your hand to do that. I don't know. So I hope it translates well because I'm very excited about the game.
Do you have a Switch Lite?
My partner does, but she's
Okay.
just gonna play Super Mario Sunshine, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
She just wants to clean the goop.
I get it. I loved Mario Sunshine, and I never thought about it before today, but I think that it's entirely possible that a reason I love Mario Sunshine so much is because I have to clean the goop.
Yeah, right. It's just like for people who like to clean. It's like, well, there's goop. I better go clean it.
Virgo
Yeah,
season, baby.
yeah. Yes, I'm very excited about this. What else came out, Tom?
It's where I'm out.
All right, I'll give you the rest. We have Super Mario 3D World, which came out for the Wii U,
Mm,
and it added a bonus kind of thing called Bowser's Fury, which I don't know what it is because they didn't really tell you what it is. They
right.
just tease that Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury is a one thing. So lots of remakes coming out or like remasters. But nobody played this game, even though apparently it was very, very good because it came out on a system, Wii U, which nobody bought. So there you go.
Yeah, as one of the like six people in the world who owns a Wii U, I did play a lot of Mario 3D World. It was a lot of fun. I don't know if it's a console seller. I bought
But
I bought the Wii U for Smash Bros. Pretty exclusively,
nice.
and then ended up getting Mario Kart and 3D World and this really bad Animal Crossing game that they released for it that was like a board
Oh, that
game.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was Amiibo Festival.
that's right. That was
Yeah, that's not an Animal Crossing game. We don't
no,
count
that
that.
was bad.
Yeah, I don't even know what that was, like a board game type of thing, but like
Yeah, it was a
not Mario Party.
oh, exactly. It was a board game with like. To be fair, I did put a lot of hours into it because it was kind of chill, but like it wasn't a good Animal Crossing game by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, no,
No.
it's not New Horizons here. It's just bad.
Yeah.
um, okay, I have a few more stories, and let's just dive right
Let's do
into
it.
the movie right after here. Actually, going on the Mario 35th anniversary, I really want to just touch on this for a second, which is the Mario Kart toys. They
So cool.
basically, yeah, I was like,
So
what's
cool.
happening here? And essentially, they created Mario Kart toys where you get to drive them like those remote control, I don't know, cars that you used to be able to do with like a little joystick and stuff. But what you can do is you can set up your own courses and stuff like that, like in the real world, and then race with other people with these toys. And like the screen will show you like all your items and all that stuff. So you can, you know, hit other people with like green shells, red shells, all that stuff. And it's like all AR technology. It's really cool looking.
It is really neat. When I was first watching the ad for it, I was like, okay, when are you going to show us actual gameplay footage? Because I thought they were just doing a bit, you know. I was like, oh, they're showing us how fun it would be to drive Mario around your house. All right, now how about you show us what the actual game looks like? And then I had to rewatch the trailer a second time when I realized what the actual game is.
Right, right.
It's like,
It looks
oh,
cool, but it also looks expensive.
yeah. What is it's like? It's got to be up there, right? It's got to be at least
it,
100.
yeah, I've seen those things at like the Apple Store, for example. That's not the Mario Kart stuff, but like, stuff that's not branded, or they're trying to be their own thing, and that stuff goes up to like $250, and it's like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's very cool.
Yeah, it's
for all
pretty
the
awesome.
probably a fortune. It's very cool.
I'm gonna drop 3 stories at once at you, Tom.
Oh wow. Okay, let's do it.
All right, and they're kind of related, and we don't have to spend too long on any one of them, but Friday was a big day. This past Friday was a big day for releases. I'm talking about the Avengers game came out on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Hawk Remastered 1 and 2 came out on Friday. The Boys Season 2 came out on Friday. And Mulan finally came out on Friday. How do you feel about any of those?
I'm excited about the Tony Hawk one. I played a lot of Tony Hawk when I was a kid. Never at my own house. I don't know if it was ever released on Nintendo consoles, but I played a lot of it on like PlayStation at my friends' houses.
N64, I think there was a thing.
Okay.
I think I never owned an N64, but I'm pretty sure it came out there too.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty into it. The soundtrack in those games alone is a lot of fun. I'm pretty like cautiously excited for Mulan. Like, I'm not going to see it in theaters as previously established. I'm not a theater goer, but I will definitely eventually watch it if it hits Disney Plus.
It will, yeah. Spoilers. I watched it last night on Disney Plus.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, then I guess I'm going to watch it.
Well, okay, so it's right now it is a premium access, which means if you want to watch it now instead of 3 months from now, you can pay $30 to rent/own it.
Okay.
So you'll own it for $30, and you can watch it over and over and over again. And we'll talk about. I think I'm going to do an episode of Mulan next week, but my non-spoiler reviews is I liked it.
Cool. Is it a musical? I haven't been able to figure that out. Okay, I didn't think so. Is the dragon in it?
No, he's not either.
Oh,
those are like the two things that people are like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But my non-spoiler reviews is a dragon or a talking dragon or a musical breakout in this movie would completely be out of place.
Okay,
like it would not make sense. Yeah.
That's fair. So it's good, but you have to go in not expecting it to be exactly like the original.
Well, that's probably why I like it so much, is that it's not trying to be the original. Like, there's beats from the original, sort of, and like the spirit of the original is there intact, but like it really kind of does its own story and thing and tries to weave its own version of the story, which I think is great because, the common complaint about live action Disney movies is a shot for shot remake, which this is not.
So on the shot for shot remake thing, I actually really liked the Lion King remake. It's different from the original a little bit. But I really like it. I like my toddler loves it. He will point at Disney Plus on the TV and be like, "Lion, the lion," and I'll turn it on and he'll like cackle through the whole opening number. Like, he's really into it. And it's like really not bad at all. Would I still prefer to watch the original? Sure, but like it's good. It's got a lot going for it. I don't know.
I liked it too, but I always get a lot of flack for it. So I think a lot of people are like, "Why do you like that film?" I'm like, I can like both of them.
Yeah.
I like the Disney animated ones. Don't get me wrong, but like I don't need to hate on this other thing. If you don't like it, then do your own thing, I guess.
My grandma was a background illustrator for a like media company out in Vancouver back in like the 90s and maybe early 2000s, and they were the ones who did like Ned's Newt and What About Mimi and all those like weird Canadian cartoons back then. But they also did a Timon and Pumbaa cartoon. That was like, I think it's on not Netflix, but Disney Plus. It's like the Timon and Pumbaa show or whatever.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, so she did all the like, if you like turn that on and watch it, any of the like watercolory background like paintings or whatever are my grandma's work. So I have this like deep nostalgic attachment to like The Lion King.
Wow, that's awesome. That's cool. that's hopefully you're getting some of that money too. No.
you can add that to the list of things that don't make me any money, like podcasting.
All right, Tom. Maybe one last story here, and that is that Twitch, the streaming service Twitch, now lets anyone host Amazon Prime video watch parties. So this is becoming more of a thing where streaming services are setting up watch parties where if people own the streaming service like Netflix or Amazon, and I think Disney Plus is like, there's hidden code that it will allow for a watch party. You can basically watch stuff remotely with your friends at the same time.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I've seen the like Netflix party thing.
Yeah.
So Twitch is doing that with Amazon Prime now?
They've finally released it worldwide, so it's a thing. Yeah, I like that. I'm just saying it for the people because maybe that's something you want to do. Amazon Prime has a shockingly good library.
They do. They have a lot of Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You can watch that together and be like, why did Tom make me watch this?
Because it's a beautiful day.
All right, Tom. Everybody get up. It's time to slam now. Can you tell people what movie you chose for the week?
Mulan! No, we're talking Space Jam.
Warner Brothers presents Jordan. Funny.
Special delivery!
Together, they just might save the world. Space Jam. You've never seen anything like it.
Oh my God. I believe I can fly. Yes, Tom, this is so exciting to me because you don't know this about me, but I talk about Space Jam a lot. Like, this is my favorite movie growing up. It was my first VHS I've ever owned that I put my name on the VHS.
Whoa.
And it is just a movie that I've seen endless amount of times, and it always brings me joy. And the fact that you chose this, I was like, oh my God, because I was never going to bring it up on my own on a Talking Tongue episode, but you organically said it. So I'm curious as to why you chose Space Jam.
Okay, so confession. I was originally going to say Julie and Julia, the Meryl Streep and Amy Adams movie, where Amy Adams works through a Julia Child cookbook. And also we get a lot of, in the past, Julia Child, who is Meryl Streep, hanging out with, oh no, I'm forgetting his name right now. I'm a horrible person. Stanley Tucci. Great movie. Used to be on Netflix, isn't anymore, and I wanted to make sure we could do something streamable. And I was like, what's like a streamable movie that I watched recently that I absolutely love? And that was why I ended up going for Space Jam. So I will confess it was my second choice.
How dare you? That's okay.
That said, Space Jam is, I think, of the movies from my childhood, it is the one that I go back to on purpose the most often. Because, like I said before, I watch The Lion King a lot because my baby loves it. But, like, Space Jam is the one that, like, every once in a while I'm just like, you know what I need this weekend? I need Space Jam.
Right? I totally get that. I know some people are like, Space Jam doesn't hold up to your memory. I'm like,
You're
fuck
wrong.
you.
Those
Like,
people
it
are wrong.
totally does.
Yeah. No, Space Jam is a great movie. The only thing about it that doesn't hold up, there's two things. One, R. Kelly, right?
That's true.
But you can just kind of like ignore him a little bit. Like, he's not like in the movie. He's just all over the soundtrack. So I can kind of give it a pass.
That I say, like, I still love the music to it. Like, R. Kelly's a bad person, but the music still slaps.
Well, that's it, right? Like, I just like to believe that maybe Bugs Bunny is the one singing instead,
Yeah.
The other thing that doesn't really hold up is that they kind of just make a lot of fat phobic shit around Wayne Knight, which I don't love.
Right.
Like, I'm kind of over comedy where like fat characters are just fat and it's funny,
Right. I'm trying to think of like the main fat jokes, I guess, for Wayne Knight's character.
It's just like the buffoonery of the way that he's played, Like his entire shtick is like, oh, I'm the funny fat guy, bloopity blue. And it's like, okay, but like this was funny in the 90s when I was, dealing with my internalized fat phobia. But I'm an adult now and like things are different.
Tom, that's interesting to me. That's a really interesting take because like I've never really in my countless times watching Space Jam, never really put that together of any fat phobia stuff, which, you know, I think at the very, I can definitely see it when they like kind of pump him up in a cartoonish fashion where they put like a vacuum or whatever it is in his mouth and they just keep pumping him up to be this giant fat balloon. And I would say that is probably the biggest like part where I could see some fat phobia stuff going on. Otherwise, I always kind of viewed him as just like, just a goof, like a big buffoon, like you said.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Like, that is the, like, blatant moment, but the rest of it is all, like, those kind of subtle things where they, like, basically just make his, like, his physicality and his appearance the joke, as opposed to, like, actually writing anything good with him.
Right.
Where, you know, he's always, like, sweaty, and he's always, like, hurrying to catch up with people, and it's funny because he's the anxious fat guy who's like trying to hang out with these athletes. It's the juxtaposition that they do really intentionally in a way to like heighten that. And like, look, I'm being, you know, hypersensitive to it because it's 2020 and I'm a lib and, you know, whatever. But I'm over, you know, I'm over fat characters for the sake of being fat.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, that's totally fair. I mean, like, that's something that I completely glossed over. And maybe it's just because I watched it so many times that I don't even think about it. But I have always kind of enjoyed his physicality, I guess, from a comedic standpoint. But I think it's a completely valid point that I never really put the connection as just because he's fat that he's walking like that. I was just like, oh, Wayne Knight's just being silly because he's just a really fun actor to watch, I think.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like you can definitely make the case that I am just being, you know, a little hypersensitive to it. So like I'm willing to make it one of those things where it's like it's not a deal breaker for me in the movie. It's just something that if they if they do it again in the remake, I'm going to be mad.
Yeah. I think it's a completely fair sentiment that you share. And it's like, it's really cool insight. I mean, we're talking about Space Jam here. We're really getting deep into this, right. But I really enjoyed like that take. But it's not about Wayne Knight here. We have Michael Jordan. We have Bugs Bunny as a title character credited in the front of the VHS and posters.
We have Larry Bird.
We have Bill Murray. We have Dan Castellaneta. Like, he is in there for like half a second. It's crazy. Danny DeVito plays the bad guy. It is something special.
It is a stacked lineup. It's a fantastic movie. We watched it. Oh God, probably early in the quarantine with our kid who hadn't seen it before, and oh man. It's so good. It's so fun. Even like our 6-year-old who like doesn't give a shit about basketball, doesn't know who the Looney Tunes are. She told us once that she like found a video where a dog was chasing a bird and blew up. I think she called it a wolf and a chicken. and was like, yeah, this wolf was chasing a chicken, and then the chicken ran through a wall, and then the wolf ran into the wall and just hit it. And I was like, hang on a second.
Yeah, I know exactly what scene that is too.
Yeah. Well, of course, it's the classic. But I was like, you don't know what either of these animals is supposed to be. Where have we gone wrong? So we watched Space Jam because I was like, this is, you know, a good introduction to Looney Tunes, and it's just so much fun. And like for a kid who doesn't care about basketball and doesn't know the Looney Tunes, like. Still got a kick out of it, still loved it, still was just like absorbed in the movie the entire time. I was like, hey, cool. This like speaks to the quality of this movie. If like a kid today who has no actual connection to any of this can enjoy it as much as she did.
Yeah, I think like it's a movie that's it doesn't take itself seriously because it's loony, and I think that's the greatest thing about it is I think the translation of Looney Tunes characters into the real world and the mix of that, and obviously the just perfect last 30 minutes of the movie, which is just the basketball game, is just so much fun the entire way.
Yeah, I think a lot about Michael Jordan's armpit. You know this, when he stretches.
Yeah, I was thinking like, oh man, I'll just say it right now. I think Michael Jordan stretching his arms and sinking that basket, and I say this with no hyperbole. This is just for my own thing. Is I think in my mind that is the most iconic movie moment of all time.
You know, I'm kind of right there with you. Like it is maybe the moment in a movie that like pops up into my mind the most often. You know, it's like the clearest like picture in my head is just Michael Jordan stretching for what as a kid felt like an interminable amount of time, but actually really isn't that long. And like I think it's like maybe like 5-6 seconds, but as a kid I was like, yo, he spends the last like 6 minutes of the movie stretching his arm out. You see his like armpit just takes up the entire screen. None of that's true, but that image is so like solidified in my mind. It's
epic. It totally is. And like I feel silly, but it's such a gut reaction of like, hey, what's your favorite movie moment of all time? I'm like, well, when Michael Jordan sinks the basket. Like it's so good. Like, and there's like so much drama to it, right? Because they're 1 point away they're 2 points away from winning the match and they're behind right now. It's the buzzer beater is gonna happen, and he just stretches his arm like a crazy good basketball player, which will never work in the real world, and he sinks it, and it's just a great time.
Yeah, exactly. Like every good basketball player, he stretches his arm.
Exactly. I mean, like, as a basketball expert, that's what I know. Is that if you want to get better at basketball, just stretch a little further, is what I'm saying.
That's it. That's the important piece of life advice you can pass on to your listeners this week.
Yeah, for sure. What else do we have here? Like, I wrote down, like, whenever I write notes for a movie that I watch for Talking Tongue, I usually write it in like really quick. Like I wrote so much for this, but mostly it was just like, I love this scene. And I did a lot of notes in caps, which I never do, which is mostly just like, I wrote Bugs Bunny as credits, hype, come on and slam, and welcome to the jam in capital letters, exclamation marks. I don't know. I'm just so, and when Bill Murray shows up on screen, I wrote Bill Murray or Spit Shine.
Spit Shine is good.
Yeah. It's one of those movies that I could quote. I used to try this too. Just try to do the entire movie, put it on mute and just quote it the entire way. But let's go to some like moments that I actually like instead of just gushing about the peripherals of the movie. Sure, yeah. What do you think about like Lola Bunny?
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about Lola Bunny.
Yeah.
I think she is a product of her time.
Yes.
Is a delicate
She's like
way
Jessica Rabbit type stuff.
Yeah. Like I think that, you know, I'm hoping that in the sequel next year, whenever it comes out, I'm hoping that Lola Bunny gets kind of, you know, improved in that way of like, you know, maybe being fleshed out a little more as a character and not just being a sex object. But, you know, as a kid, I was like, oh, hubba, boing.
Oh, yeah. She was a transformative character for my youth,
right.
For sure. I was just like, I don't know why she makes me feel funny things.
I have never liked the way that she delivers the line, don't ever call me doll. the way she says doll is like just a little bit off to me. Like it doesn't feel right, you know?
Right.
Like there's something about like, don't ever call me doll, you know? Like you want the doll to go down a little bit more because it always feels like she's asking a question, you know?
Doll.
Don't ever call me doll.
The delivery is supposed to be like a little seductive, right? Like,
yeah,
like you know, she's really trying to get Bugs, which she does. So
well, yeah, but that's it. Like something about it to me, just like it just throws me off a little bit every time, and I'm like, that's not a good. That doesn't feel like a good line read. I don't know. But I like Lola Bunny. You know, I like her as a love interest for Bugs. I hope that, you know, in the sequel we get a little bit more like fleshed out character, a little bit more interesting. You know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we'll ever get a fleshed out character in the Looney Tunes, to be honest. But what I do like about, well, I guess I'll say two things. First of all, with Lola Bunny, apparently, which I don't watch Looney Tunes anymore, but apparently Lola Bunny in Looney Tunes, they introduced the character there, and she kind of went the other way. They're like, okay, let's not make her a sex object like they kind of did in this movie. Although she's very capable, which makes her like an interesting character. They make her like just crazy for Bugs. So she's Bugs' girlfriend, and you're like, oh, well, now she's just chasing Bugs, where Bugs is chasing her in Space Jam. So I'm like, I don't know what I prefer. I think you have to balance, like, you know, find somewhere in the middle, I guess. I don't know.
I did find out that she was, from 2011 to 2014, she was voiced by Kristen Wiig, which is kind of fun.
Oh, cool. That is fun. And, the other thing that I want to say, the second piece, is that what I really like about this movie is all the Looney Tunes characters get their moment.
Mm-hmm.
like every single one of them has a small little moment where they have a fun bit, whereas, Tweety ends up kicking ass and like fighting the monsters. Roadrunner, the Tasmanian Devil, like they all have their small little moments that they never leave anyone to the side. And of course, we're not even talking about like the big guns here, Bugs and Daffy Duck. They have some huge funny moments throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, it's sorry, my brain just kind of disappeared for a second there. I was just thinking about Space Jam.
Yeah, me too. I'm just like thinking about like how I just need to watch it again right now.
So full disclosure, I started anxiety meds like 2 weeks ago, and one of the side effects that's been like most like I'm past the like nausea and muscle pain that were supposed to be like side effects of it early on, but one of the ones that seems to be sticking around is brain fog. So I will just occasionally just like drift out of existence for a minute and have to come back into it. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I just hope that you were just vividly remembering Space Jam while you were in the fog.
I was thinking about the scene where they all put their hands on the ball at the end and they're all really like hesitant about it and how beautiful that is.
And then they get their powers back.
Yeah. That's how it works. You've never touched a ball to get power?
Yeah. Is there any standout cartoonish scenes in the movie that you like, or any just like random quotes and stuff that you like throughout the movie?
I love, there's two for me that stand out. One is when Tweety gets hurt, and that's the moment that makes Michael Jordan go, fuck this noise, I'm fighting these aliens, Right
after he turns into a basketball?
Yeah, exactly. Like they crush Tweety Bird and he's like, oh, Michael Jordan, will you please help us? And Michael Jordan's like, yeah, absolutely. Fuck this. You can hurt Tweety Bird. That's like a beautiful moment. And then later, also characters getting hurt. I don't know what this says about me. But later on, when they've like been getting completely trounced by the monsters, like before they get Michael's secret stuff, and they're all on the bench and you see each of them injured in a different way, I thought it was a brilliant, like little like choice cartoon wise.
Yeah, there's a lot of good visual gags in this movie. I just keep thinking about like Daffy's bits of, him doing like gut check time, him like posing in like, he's like, what outfit should I wear? Or like, he just has just fun stuff all around, which he's always been my favorite Looney Tunes character. Yeah.
He serves as a good foil to Bugs, but like in a way that's not antagonistic, if that makes sense. Like they work well together,
For sure. And I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I always thought like Michael Jordan was perfect in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because like he's not a good actor per se, but he's perfect in this movie.
Well, you don't want someone who's like a brilliant actor in this movie because it's kind of campy and dumb. Like you want someone who's like a little bit like shouldn't be here,
Yeah. Watching it on this time around, because usually I throw it in the background and I enjoy it for what it is, but I never really paid attention to the dialogue. And the thing that I took away from it this time was there's a lot of meta commentary on Hollywood and, producers getting you in and royalties. They do it when Daffy and Bugs go find Michael Jordan's shorts in his home.
Right.
And they're like, hey, have you ever seen like all of the like mugs and like toys with our faces on it? Have you ever gotten a paycheck? And they're like, nope, never got a paycheck. We're getting screwed by our producers, stuff like that. And like at the end where like Bill Murray ends up and goes, da, 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 and he's here to save the day, which is an amazing moment in the entire movie. And he's just like, or Daffy's like, hey, how'd you get here? He's just like, oh, a producer's a friend of mine. And he's just like, oh, that's how it goes, eh? I just like that stuff. And then later earlier, there's a scene where I forget the basketball player's name. I don't remember their names, but besides Muggsy Charles Barkley. Not Muggsy. There's Charles Barkley, Muggsy, and then I forget the rest. I never remember their names.
Larry Bird?
No, Larry Bird's the white guy.
Yep. Who else are we dealing with here?
Yeah. Anyways, there's a scene where one of the basketball players is sitting down or lying down at the psychiatrist's office, and they're like, does any other parts of your body work? And he's like, yeah. And they're just implying his penis works for sex. And I'm like, wow, and I completely missed that.
Yeah. I don't know who it would be.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to not look up the basketball players, but there's also like
my problem is that the like 4 whose names I remember I've already said, and it's not any of them.
Okay, here we have Charles Barkley, Muggsy Bogues, Patrick Ewing, which I think is who it is, Sean Bradley, and Larry Johns, I guess it would be.
Yeah.
Anyways, you would just say, sure.
Yeah.
Did you like Mike's secret stuff? How about that scene?
I love Mike's secret stuff. I remember as a kid thinking that it was a lot more subtle than it is. Like on my last rewatch of it, I was just kind of like, oh wow, it's like really clear from the first second they start talking about it that this is bullshit. Whereas a kid, I was like, wow, like this is brilliant. And then when I realized that it's a ruse, I'm like, oh my God. But like as an adult, I'm like, oh no, they really like telegraph this from the moment that they start talking about it. But I love it. I think it's really clever. It's really like, it's the first moment, you know how coming back to the armpit stretch, the thing that saves them, that wins the game, is Michael Jordan embracing the fact that he's in a cartoon now. Right. And I think that the moment with the secret stuff is Michael Jordan first realizing, oh, I'm in a cartoon now, and starting to use cartoon logic and going, okay, like these guys will buy this because they are cartoon characters, right? And so like when he's like, yeah, my secret stuff, it's this like turning point for him of like, not only is this going to give them what they need, I'm also accepting that this is a reality that I'm part of. And I think that without the secret stuff, we wouldn't get the famous, stretchy arm shot that lasts the last 18 minutes of the movie.
Love it. I just want that on my wall as a poster. I really do.
But it's like a panoramic poster, so it takes up the entire, it's like wallpaper along the molding.
I think Laura would be very mad at me if I did that. But hey, I'm going to make it happen. Don't worry, audience. A few last things here is we never really got to talk about the Monstars and Danny DeVito's characters. I think they're like really good bad guys, I guess. And they're also really goofy at the very end too. They're also really loony. They just want to be part of the crew. But their transformation scene when they steal the talent and become huge is awesome.
Yeah, definitely. That's honestly like anytime that I'm like getting hyped up and like getting ready to do something big in life, I like think about that moment. And I think about like, if these tiny aliens can grow to become giant basketball players, maybe I can, I don't know, get out of bed today.
Yeah, totally. And you know what? I always think about this, and the Monstars do so well at the beginning of the game. Like they basically break the board, and to a point where there's a visual gag that's like, it's pretty one-sided, isn't it? And then later they reset the scoreboard, and it looks like they only scored like 60 points or something like that. And you're like, wait a second, I thought like it looked like they scored like 1,000 points.
Well, I think the joke is just that they scored so fast that the board couldn't keep track.
Right.
Like they might have only scored like 4 points, but they just did it like too quickly,
Yeah, okay. That makes way more sense, because the final score is I wrote this down, 78-76 for the Toon Squad. And I don't watch too much basketball, but I'm pretty sure that's not a high scoring game.
I think the joke there is that 76, like there's the 76ers as a team.
Oh, is that true?
Charles Barkley played for them. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I the reason why I thought this was funny is because like it makes sense to me. It was a low scoring game because they spend so much time, and Marvin the Martian just loses control as a referee altogether. Like he does not keep anybody in line because everybody is just wailing on each other the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, that comes back to like, that's just something we know of Marvin the Martian, right? He's never in control.
Yeah.
He always wants to be in control, and he never manages.
It's true. It's true. I'm just thinking of all the times there is no foul shots that are taking, and everyone's just like tackling each other, smushing Daffy incompletely into goo, all this stuff. And I'm like, wait a second. Shouldn't you guys be like, Michael's the only one who's playing basketball, which I think is hilarious. Yeah. My final thoughts of the movie here is at the very end where Michael Jordan comes onto the baseball field. And it's so funny to me because like he is not a good baseball player at all, based on his real life. But everybody will not start the game of his baseball game without Michael Jordan showing up. which would never happen.
No. Like, I think at worst they'd have to delay it a little bit, just because, like, I'm sure that on a logistical level they have to, like, submit their new lineup or whatever if a player is late.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would, like, wait too long. It probably takes, like, 2-3 minutes to just, like, send
it looked
note,
like they were waiting, like, an hour or so. And then they're like, where's Michael? The whole stadium's like, where's Michael Jordan, the worst baseball player we have? And then a big spaceship arrives and everyone's, like, kind of surprised about it. Like, they're like, whoa, a spaceship. But mostly they're surprised and pumped that Michael Jordan arrives.
I mean, wouldn't you be? Like, if a spaceship landed on your front lawn tomorrow morning, wouldn't you, like, first you'd be like, oh shit, a spaceship, what's going on? But if Michael Jordan steps out, you forget the spaceship, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I guess so. All right. Final thoughts. Any standout quotes that you have here, Tom, or music moments, or just anything in general before we close out the show?
Oh, man. I mean, we already said spit shine, right?
Yeah,
that's the big one for me.
He's fixing a divot is one that always sticks with me. You're not Charles Barkley or a wannabe who looks like him. Wannabe, be gone. I don't know why that always made me laugh as a kid. Gut check time when Daffy just literally tackles somebody. He, like, reloads his leg, kind of like how Henry Cavill reloads his arms and then just destroys someone. And then when Bill Murray, he cracks and goes, "Let's go Bulls." I think it's just funny. Yeah, Bill Murray has a great presence in this movie. He just really wants to be a basketball star.
Bill Murray feels like he just showed up to set and wrote his own lines and was like, just fit me in, I'll be fine.
I think it's honestly Bill Murray at his best.
Yeah.
I mean, Ghostbusters aside, for sure. But, like, he has such a fun comedic role in this. And I like how his character is just, like, always talking about how he wants to play basketball and be in the NBA and how he needs to be the one who replaces Michael Jordan. And he plays for the last 10 seconds of the Toon Squad match and then retires on top.
It's how you got to do it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, Tom, we friggin' did it. We talked about Space Jam. We flew like eagles. And I'm trying to think of what other songs. Come on and slam. And welcome to the jam.
We came on, we slammed, we were welcomed.
I really hope Space Jam 2 lives up to Space Jam 1. For sure it won't, but I hope it's okay. I hope it's okay.
I saw you've seen the uniforms, right?
No.
My
Do they look good?
No. I mean, yeah.
Oh, no.
I just don't like them as much. I'm probably
biased.
Yeah. I don't like them as much. I think they're too bright, but I think they're fun and I think they make sense. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see what they're like in action, I guess.
Oh, I see. It's like the blue and teal that I'm looking at right now.
It's like a little too. It's a little too much, but also, like, looking at current, like, basketball uniforms, like, it makes more sense than if they stuck with the old one. You know, like, it's just kind of it's a generational thing. I don't know.
I know this isn't the story of Space Jam, or Space Jam 2, but I've talked about this before. My ideal Space Jam 2 is LeBron James joins up with the Looney Tunes because Michael Jordan is possessed and he's fighting for the bad guys. And the final match is LeBron James versus Michael Jordan.
I would love that. And
Bugs Bunny needs to save his old best friend. And the way to win his soul back is to play a basketball game.
I know. All I know about the new one is that Don Cheadle plays the villain, and I'm excited for that because nobody can play anything like Don Cheadle can play it.
Right. I just want to see, like, a final match where both enemies are stretching their arms and, like, kind of slapping each other from afar, and then, like, the basketball rolls onto one of their arms, I guess, and, like, sinks like a slam dunk in a weird way. I don't know. Like, I have a lot of creative ideas for Space Jam 2.
Space Jam 2 creators, you can contact Tongue. Go to PodCavern.com.
That's right. That's right.
Get those fresh ideas.
Tom, before we end here, do you have one note or idea that you would want in Space Jam 2?
Ooh. Oh, man. Geez, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, my note, honestly, no fat phobia, and I don't want Lola Bunny to be a sex object. Those are my two requests.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Just to get serious for a second.
Yeah, you got serious, and I'm just thinking about silly, stupid cartoon stuff that they would do. I'm just like, okay, what if the ball became Michael Jordan at the end or something? It's just, I don't have real ideas for this movie.
I want to see someone slam dunk the ball into the Tasmanian tiger. Devil?
Okay.
What is he? Taz.
There you go. There you go. Tom, if you had to rate this movie from 1 to any arbitrary scale that you create based on the movie right now, what would you rate it?
I would give it, I would give it 5 basketball players touching a ball out of 5. That's all I got.
And then their talent coming back into them.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, that scene where they steal the talent, I was scared as a little kid. Yeah. It's freaky.
It's a scary movie.
It's scary, yeah.
We don't talk enough about this horror film, Space Jam.
Tom, thank you so much for joining Talking Tongue today. Do you have any plugs for the people at home?
Oh, man. Well, thank you for having me. Yeah. If people want to hear more of me, I talk about food a whole lot over on Up for Discussion, which you can download wherever you get your podcasts. Just look for the Sassy Bear. I also do Dungeons and Dragons, like I said at the beginning of the show. If you want to listen to that, it's Natural Tuny, also available wherever you get your podcasts. The only other thing to plug is you can find me on all the social medias at Tom Zalatnai. That's TomZalatnai. Yeah, that's it. My only other plug is defund the police.
I like that. It's good. That's good. Well, Tom, it's a pleasure, and it's always a pleasure to have you in the PodCavern here. Hopefully we can talk about Space Jam 2 together.
I'm down.
If your intestinal problems don't still exist, maybe we'll have to stream it for you, and you'll have to pause it multiple times.
I'll make it work.
Okay. You'll do it for bugs.
I'll do it for bugs.
And for me, you can find the rest of the shows in the PodCavern at www.podcavern.com. Find all the shows there. I feel like I just woke up at the very end of this episode, so hopefully we did Space Jam justice here. But with that, we'll see you on next week's episode of Talking Tongue. Tom, do you want to sing with me to get us out of here?
Sure.
Everybody get up, it's time to slam now.
Do you hear the people sing?
That's just
shit, wrong movie.
Okay. All right, bye everyone.
Everyone, remember, if you want to be good at basketball, you just stretch your arm a little.